Live video is starting. You're now live. Okay, let's see what happens here. I'm not seeing anything. Are you, Dale?
You will, like on your time, unless you go to another device.
Well, well, we were able to watch it today. We were able to watch it right on my laptop.
Oh, yeah. You can see it live on there.
Yep. And we use that live to let him do the turning of the Facebook is live now. So I don't want to load cancel. There's one viewer, I don't know who that is, but I don't see the video. There it is, got it. Yeah, it's on. And so now I need to copy this key. I think I got it. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, you kind of send it out to the folks that they should be able to get on that.
Yep, thank you. Bye-bye.
Is it on your Chuck Burkholz page?
No, it's on my Facebook, Chuck Burkholz, yes.
Okay, yeah, perfect. All right, thanks, Chuck.
Thanks, bye. Thanks, Mike. Okay. So it's on my Facebook. So I need to do this. Let me bring Facebook. There's the live. Here we go. Get it posted. No. I don't want to. So.
He's going to have to put that mic on again. Maybe.
I don't know.
His sinus was draining.
Okay, so. Copy that. Hold on for a second.
This weather. Here.
I hate this mouse.
I don't know how it could possibly be true. Because it's
Come
within
on.
the last week sometime. The pollen count is unbelievable. Well, I was having a bunch of trouble. Is that what it was? So we were in December having
This
high
isn't-
pollen count. Well, that could explain why I was blowing my nose all
What
over.
just happened? There we are.
But I just found it hard to believe because the time.
Guys, this is going over the, just so you know, it's going over live right now. And this picks up everything. So, is there a way you can turn that down with that volume or not? See if we can do that.
I don't know.
Okay, so we need to,
And I can mute the microphone.
yeah, go ahead and do that.
Is it muted?
I don't know. I can't even copy this address. No, cancel. If I had my mouse here, I'd be able to do it, but this little pad. Linda, you're pretty good on computers. Why don't you see if you can copy this link? I got it highlighted. I just can't get the. I
You
can't.
talking to me?
I'm talking to you. Yeah.
Oh, God. Hi, Kevin. How are you?
No, I don't want to leave the site.
What are you trying to copy the link?
I got to copy the link.
Okay. I hate laptops.
I
could do it in a minute with a mouse. Okay.
I like the mouse myself.
You got to get over here and get all of this.
You got to highlight the whole link,
Yep, I know.
and then you right-click and say copy.
I know.
But I don't have.
But when I go right click, nothing happens. There it goes. Nope.
Do the other corner. So you got each corner. You can click each. Okay. Copy.
All right, got it. All right. right, so now I need to go to
I'm
the
amazed.
next door.
The odds were good that I would be able to help.
I don't like that. I just do it so much faster. I'm like,
I know, I don't like them either.
All right, so, oh, don't do this to me. It's not going to recognize continuous. No, 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 no. No. Let me go to Proton Mail. I'll do it that way. Come on.
And if I get nervous about it, it's worse.
It shouldn't be this difficult. Oh, God, I hate this. I hate this mouse.
Oh, no.
Sign in. There we go.
Try to go back to school and the boys said.
All right, so I'm going to put it on here.
Was it the flu or RSV?
my niece has a flu, and it's
My son, his wife, and my 11-month-old grandson, who's in the hospital with her family over Christmas.
Come on, get over there.
The baby all got COVID. Luckily, Brett and Dee were boosted several times. None of them got real sick, but the baby got it. Probably the airplane was with their death sentence like 3 days after they got there. I knew somebody who had one thing in November with the flu, one thing in November with COVID, and one thing in November with pneumonia.
Oh, don't do that. No. There is no printer. Come on, stop it. Stop it.
And we missed it.
Cancel.
People didn't want to be buried.
Paste. There we go. No! Why did it do sign in DirecTV?
No, she
wasn't sure.
That's what they say.
Yeah, it's the same virus.
The same virus. It's
Right,
just
you're not
instead
that
of sugar, you get it as an adult. Which is worse. Oh, you don't want to know that stuff, do you?
Let's do it again. Why did it copy off this link, DirecTV? That makes no sense whatsoever. What time is it down?
Just temporarily and then come back.
What time is it? And let's go back to Facebook. And we want to put it on Proton Mail. There it is. How much time we got?
It's, 9:47. Or, I'm sorry, 6:47.
We're good. We're still good. Come on, send it. There we go.
Not in the door. Not since they said this is the one drink. My body will be It was, yeah, because it would go through the parking lot, behind the hotel and then into my backyard. They haven't done that since they did whatever they did out here.
It's more than they did right now.
Now maybe it'll be
They went across the street, they piped it about 80% fill up the sill. They have
So I sent you an email requesting a dumpster for the people at 119. I got made into a joke because whoever this head person is even here.
No.
So we have somebody named Ed.
I know it's set.
That would be great. Inside of the Carney, I don't see, was out there to get the instructor.
That's what I asked my husband. I was like, can you just like get a company in here? What's my laptop going to eat in the alley? He's like, no, because then it's all going to go right in our garage. And I was like,
and do for them what I did. I got it on
yeah, because it's attached, so like, yeah, it'll literally just go right into our garage. So I'd rather deal with it in the driveway. It doesn't seem like it sticks around too long.
And you know what? I got beat up for that.
But I'm pretty sure it was when they fixed.
And I
Yeah. If I could have seen it, I got it was it was like the area that was going over that way. And it would do it every day right next to you. It's not so bad since they fixed that.
It didn't send. I don't understand why it didn't send.
I'm doing just that.
I hate this damn thing.
One day I get to see.
So first thing on Tuesday, I'll be back.
No, I wanted that straw. Yeah, I wanted
Not as much as it used to be.
Not that strong.
Come on now, send the doggone thing.
Austin, those cookies I made you last time.
9 minutes away, huh?
Those cookies I made you last time.
They're set. Okay, finally. All right, so then,
from a nice president in the village. Those are all good. They wanted to call your address, let them knock on the door, but do it in the hall.
Next time they wanna do some construction on the road there. I got you.
okay, so what this one here, and that would be this one, Cleves Council. What time? 6:52. All right, so get off of that. Get onto my full-time mail. Please tell me it's sent here now. There it is. I can copy that link. Copy link. Next door. It is a long link. And I got to figure out what went wrong on YouTube. So here,
So also addressing this is your final.
to Cleves Council, and that's what I'm doing. You can do it on Facebook too. Feed.
When you gonna bring that big, the tractor or whatever it was, and another dumpster out here, 119? Oh, he tells me that he's been looking into it. I got it on my phone, 1019 and 1011.
All right, Dale.
Okay. I'm gonna this is my lap over here. That's all right.
I've been reminded of that one.
Yeah. That one of those things. Yes, it is a lot of service. It's like
It's
that.
kind of mean. It's like a.
Well, usually there's words. Yes, but
Oh no, it's not the power thing.
okay, gotcha.
It's
I'm sorry.
Oh, okay,
it's like an infinity.
gotcha.
Nothing going on in that house.
Homes are very similar.
Unless they're going in at midnight and we don't know.
I think I learned that kids came home for COVID and I was like, well, let's do something.
Well, you're in private.
Or it doesn't. I don't know, we had a floor. I had alpha figures.
Is there any chance we can get you to just try this chair? Just because the camera's getting your back of your head. There we go. Thank you. Appreciate it. Well, we didn't anticipate blockage there. Not going to be able to see over on that side.
Can we ask him to move?
I'm sorry?
Maybe can you move over there, maybe?
It doesn't matter where I'm at, it's where the camera's at.
Well, maybe go and talk and then go.
Yeah, probably.
I just need to cut that stuff out, like, see if we're loud enough and coffee. Make sure I just stick it all over. I mean, it seems like it's working out good. I think I would remember this being.
Oh, if it would be the cord would be really low.
I would have been like, I kept plugging it Old model iPhones. tell you one thing, the only jealous of that home buttons. I literally sit there pressing the digital home button for like half hour. What's that? My daughter was a breakfast with Sam. There was a Three Rivers, I think it was a Three Rivers person, like right there at the door.
No, when I went down to the museum area, there was a young lady there, you came over and was talking to her, I thought it might be your daughter.
My daughter was around town.
You just sound into your deal.
Yeah, lean like this. If we want to see Mrs. Boyce, councilperson Boyce.
An expensive fees, and I'm talking that person was like, robots,
I'm sure you know the school, you could find me.
well, I just sent
No, it's Mrs. I've got something we can mount that. Camera up there. Never do anything.
I always try to put it out. I want to, I do that
What, this right here? We just stick the bottom into the water. That's
I wouldn't put it in the soil because they rot and want water.
well,
What you really need is to make sure.
so far describing.
That's a year's long. If your first year of onion growth, you get to a set. And then the next year, it goes to the ball. So you have to be really interested in doing it. It's not an agricultural thing. I do. I put the stuff on. You expect a shot at
Well, we got a community garden over at church, so we're gonna be helping out with that. Put some of the chickens and fruit.
I'd like to welcome everybody, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, and I want to welcome you guys to the January 10th Village of Cleves Council meeting. So if everybody would join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Boyce? Here. Mr. Williams? Here. Ms. Meister? Here. Ms. Bolton? Here. Mr. Burns?
Before we actually begin the regular part of this meeting, I want to give a little explanation for the fact that this is our first time trying to do a live stream today, so hopefully it's getting out to the public. There's speakers in the back, it will pick up virtually everything. So if you're talking back there, it's gonna be on the video. So I ask, when it comes time for people to speak up here or up at this podium today, that if we're gonna ask questions of that, I'll give you an opportunity to do that. So at this point, I'd like to make sure you understand we're going to be going into the organizational meeting, and we have the responsibility to elect a president pro tempore. The president pro tempore is often referred to as the vice mayor, but that is not in the revised code. The actual name for the vice mayor is the president pro tempore, and the purpose of that is that officer is selected by the other members of council, and they will serve, if I'm absent, they will serve in my absence. So at this point, I would like to accept nominations from the council members to nominate one or more of their own as a candidate to serve as president pro tempore in my absence. I will then ask if there are any further discussion. If not, I will ask for a motion to close nominations, and then I will ask for a second. Are there any nominations?
I would like to nominate Kelly Byrne.
Is there any, are there any other nominations? I'd like to then have a motion to close the nominations, and then we will vote. Looks like we got one candidate. It does need a second. Okay, thank you. Mr. Whittle?
Ms. Boyce?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Meister?
Yes.
Ms. Bolton?
Yay.
Mr. Brown? Mr. Burns?
All right, and then I'd like to have a motion to vote on that. I assume it's going to be unanimous, but I would like to have a motion to approve it. I think we should have a motion.
I'll make a motion to vote.
Yeah, Mr. Ray, also please call the roll.
Ms. Meister, second by Mr. Williams. Ms. Boyce?
Yes.
Mr. Williams? Yes. Ms. Meister?
Yes.
Ms. Bolton?
Yay.
Mr. Brown? Mr. Burns?
Did I nominate the wrong person?
All right, I think we have a couple of guests here tonight. I assume, Carrie, you're going to be wanting to say a few words tonight?
Only if you have time.
We do. Okay, but I'm going to first of all have Darlene West, if you come to the podium, please. Darlene is our local representative from the Police of America, and she's going to make a presentation to the council. And so, Darlene, the floor is yours.
Thank you. As he mentioned, my name is Darlene West. I've been a resident here in the area for almost 55 years.
Wow.
So it is my pleasure to serve as the local coordinator for Wreaths Across America. That means that on the third Saturday in December of every year, we go to Maple Grove Cemetery and we place a wreath of honor, not a Christmas wreath, not a decoration, but a wreath of honor on every grave of every veteran there in Maple Grove. 5 years ago, we started with 700 wreaths. This year, we placed 1,452 wreaths. So we were able to cover every wreath or every grave at Maple Grove. Unfortunately, our number has to grow every year because as our Vietnam veterans get older, unfortunately, we have more graves that we need to cover. We also do cover graves down at Congress Green Cemetery and at Residence Church. We have become a community tradition in just the 5 years that we've been doing this. It started out that a few businesses and many civic organizations supported our cause. Now we are finding out that families are using this as a tradition and making it part of their Christmas giving. What I'd like to ask you to do, if it's possible, is to have your support next fall when we do our final campaign, to maybe promote it on the website, to maybe present a proclamation towards the 1st of December where we could say that we have the village of Cleves support. We sell the wreaths, and right now we have a campaign going in there. Thank you for the flyer that you've given to everyone. The wreaths are $17 a piece. The policy that we have is for every 2 wreaths, you get one free. Because you have the option of getting a $5 return on every wreath that you sell. We feel that this should never be a money-making proposition. This is our gift to the community and to the veterans who served our area. And so we opt for the free wreath. Right now, we happen to have a special going on that for every 2 wreaths you purchase, so that would be a total of $34, you get 3 additional wreaths. And this goes on through to the Tuesday night at 10 o'clock. But what I'm asking, not necessarily for money, I'm asking for your support, that you would maybe mention this if you happen to go to organizations and speak, or if you happen to be at a neighborhood get-together. Every family in our community is probably somewhere in their history has a veteran. And for a small donation, we can honor those veterans for as long as possible. I took this as a personal cause because I have 2 friends who are soon to be retiring after 30 years in the Army. And my feeling is I want to make sure somebody does this for them in the future. And if that means doing it for all of our veterans now, that's my cause. So I appreciate the time to speak with you. If you happen to be interested in purchasing a wreath, and I know that this has gone out to many people in the community. But your support in the fall would be tremendous, to be able to put it on the website, to be able to maybe put a flyer on the window of the doorway of the building or whatever it might be. But I appreciate the chance to share the program with everybody, and if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to help.
Do you have a Facebook page?
We don't have a Facebook page. We have to follow the national guidelines. This is a program that started in 1998. A Christmas tree farmer in Maine had extra pine boughs, and he made wreaths, and those were the wreaths that were taken to Arlington National Cemetery. And I think you've all probably seen the photo of all the graves with all the wreaths on it. So this is part of that program. On December 16th this year, we had throughout the country almost 4,000 cemeteries and almost 3.2 million wreaths placed. So we kind of have to follow their guidelines, and we're just now getting into private Facebook pages for this. We also have one thing that's really nice is this year they've come out, we have our own QR code and our own website, so that you can go on to that and directly get that. That way you get the credit for the particular wreath. So we would like to make this a whole community process. You know, we've reached out, we've had the cooperation of Miami Township. We really would like to get, we are at the senior center and all of that. We hopefully going to have a little more presence with you all, and we want to make sure that when it comes to the third Saturday in December this coming year, that maybe some of you would be actively involved in our programs, because the motto is to remember, to honor, and to teach. So we are remembering our veterans, we're honoring those who are serving now, and we are trying to teach the next generation that this is a really important part of our history and needs to be honored and continued.
Do you have a card?
I have lots of cards.
I have one. Me too.
I tend to carry these with me all the time. So we do have on here our QR code, and then in very small letters, there is our personal website. It's after you get to the ResearchClassAmerica.org, there's a code that goes on there, and that guarantees
small.
it is. That guarantees that it comes to our cemetery, and we get credit for that. Yes.
On the form, it looks like you can request the wreath. You can't pick your first.
What we do is, what we would prefer you do, because sometimes it gets lost in the shuffle, is whenever we send out information, my phone number and my personal email on everything, if you have someone at the cemetery that you want to make sure is honored, that you get in touch with me. So but we are more than happy to make sure that all of them.
One other question. Is there some difference that covers the cemetery money?
Yes, there is someone who does that. I believe it's the church up on 128, the big church, the Whitewater. Yeah, so they are part of that. And there are several communities, maybe even the American Legion comparison. We're trying to make sure that every cemetery eventually is covered with everything.
Can I say something?
Certainly.
In honor of the new mayor, I'd like to donate 10 of them.
Oh, wonderful. I'll tell you what, we can do it this way.
I can give you my information or whatever.
Yeah, I was thinking, or if you want to fill it out and do it that way, that would be fantastic. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Now,
Yes, ma'am.
for every 2 wreaths, you get how many?
We get 3 from now until next Tuesday. For every 2 that you purchase, so 2 would be $34 or $17. We get 3 extras. So you're literally getting 5, and you're paying about $6.72 a piece instead of $17.
Okay.
And this is where life gets really.
So we just do what you just told
Yeah,
us.
the best thing to do is use the website. If you use the form and mail it in, at this time of year when they're inundated with orders, sometimes they don't get them in time and get shuffled around.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Before you leave,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a couple comments. I've seen Darlene present over at Miami Township for a number of years. I've seen her at the North Bend. We had to talk prior to coming today because generally there's a sponsorship that she requests. from the villages or the township that she goes through. I asked her not to do that today, and there's a reason for it. I'd just like to announce that to the public. Our village really doesn't have the extra funds right now. So we've got some issues, and I'll talk more about that later in the meeting, that we need to take care of. However, I've already purchased tubers. It is quite simple using the QR code. Doesn't take any time at all. I've been out delivering thank you cards to people who put signs in, and I have 3 of them I talked to today that are going to do it. And I would encourage everybody to participate. We can all help, and I think one of the things that Darlene has tried to do at all the meetings, not just ours, is to try to get a better outreach program to individual citizens. I'm going to buy 2 additional ones also. After we
Yeah, I'm
close.
going to too.
Because
I
for every
think it's
2,
good.
we wind up with 5. And that, taking advantage of this program right now is crucial to our success. So I thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Gary, you want to come up and
Sure.
talk about one of the most important parts of our community, and I'll be talking about that later in the meeting.
I'll keep it short and I'll try to go fast. Carrie Bernard, I just wanted to formally introduce myself to the new faces on council. I wanted to congratulate you and welcome you. I'm at the library across the street. You can't miss us. And I just wanted to invite you all to come in often and take advantage of our services. Our next thing up is the Winter Checkout Challenge. It's for the adults. It starts January 16th, and you just stop in and you get a reusable bag. And if you complete 5 challenges, just 5, you get a mug. It's a ceramic mug, it's dishwasher and microwavable safe. So it's commemorative. So
In other words, we need to get busy.
stop on over. You've got all of February too. I would love to keep updates coming your way. If the village council would like to know, I'd be happy to share that with you. If you ever want to cut me off, just say the word.
No, you can speak as long as you need to speak. I do want to make a couple comments though, because sometimes I view a village council meeting like this as an opportunity to educate the public. We don't have a true newspaper in the community. At least we're now going to be alive. Hopefully, I'll get this, whatever the kinks are, we'll get them, ironed out. But for those that don't know, Paula, I'll get this name right, so Paula Brem Huber, I think is the director of the library, has been out to visit every single entity in Miami Township. That means that she has visited this council, she's visited Addison, she's visited North Bend and Miami Township. If you're not aware, there's a possibility that this library is going to close.
What?
Yes, and I think you need to understand that. And the presentation was done here last year, and there hasn't been a whole lot of discussion. But I'm going to talk a little bit more about that, because the superintendent from Three Rivers and I have spoken.
It's a rebuild.
It's a
So
rebuild.
the library will not be closed.
That's
want to-
true, but
yeah.
you gotta find the
The
location.
area,
You
yeah.
gotta find the location that's
Yeah.
proper. And I'll go ahead and say what I was gonna say about the library now. Back in December, trustee Dan Blatt from Miami Township and I, along with Steve Johns from Hamilton County, met with Paula Brown Huber. And the problem they're facing is finding an appropriate lot at the right price. That's difficult to do because developers have a tendency of, if they know the library's coming for it, they're going to jack up the prices. There are very limited areas. When I spoke with Dr. Alt the other day, they're still hoping that it will be built down by the school. And that's still in the village of Cleves, and no matter how you look at it, that's a win-win for the community. However, there's no guarantee. There was a reclassification of it being in a floodplain, even though the school was approved. I spoke with him yesterday, and he said there's a workaround on that. He has presented that to her, but he has not heard back. We too have asked, and Miami Township is very supportive of keeping the river closed. We've looked at maybe a part of South Miami as a possibility. That was our discussion. We've not heard back, but I anticipate we will at some point. I'm glad you said it won't leave the community, because I know North Bend has put a pressure on it to be over there by the Dollar General. Honestly, they don't like moving the library more than a half mile from where the current library exists. The problem is, there's not a lot of property. People have looked at the elementary school, C.T. Young. There's a lot of challenges there. Every dollar they spend is going to reduce what that library can provide for the community. They want to build a 10,000 square foot building that is going to have the type of facility that takes you into the next century. So, if you're talking to your neighbors, make sure they understand that this is something coming.
The updates for the Next Gen library are all on the library's website. If you go all the way to the bottom, you can keep track of the progress that's being made for each one, ours included. So
now-
watch it often.
Now, will this new library be as big as that one out in Harrison?
Probably not, but you can get specifics on that. So it would be small, but it might be. There would be meeting rooms and event rooms and all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
All right, if you have questions, let me know.
I would ask if there's anybody out in the audience that has a question.
Now, what about the senior citizen thing? Will that stay over there?
Senior Center is staying where they are. They're wonderful and collaborative, but they're a separate entity.
Okay.
If anything comes up, just feel free to reach out to me. All right, thank you. Thank you for allowing me the time.
Okay, we're going to go to the public session here at this point. It's going to be a little different than what it has been in the past. Instead of signing in, you will just raise your hand, state your name, your address. There will be a 3 to 5 minute time frame. Within 5 minutes, I'm going to cut it off if it goes that long. And so I'm going to open it to the public. If there's someone who wants to speak tonight, Monica, do you want to?
Can I stay sitting?
You may stay seated,
Thank you.
but you still need to give your address.
Okay. I live at 118 Porter Street. My name's Monica, as everybody already knows. I have a couple of things. For one, the 119 property. I do not have a beef with those people. I sent 2 emails to Ray Hall, one on the 11th,
Mr. Rahal, please.
Mr. Ray Hall, on October the 11th and October the 19th, requesting that it be taken care of. If there's a couch sitting up, it's been sitting there ever since the Sealy's moved out in October. Here we are in January, going into February, it's still a boatload of trash over there. Now wait a minute, I'm not finished. I also want to make this very clear to everybody in this room. If you love your family, you love this community, we cannot have Kyle Smith sitting on this panel. And that's the bottom line.
I'd like to respond to your issue with Mr. Rahal. Mr. Rahal and I have been meeting together quite a bit over the past 10 days. We've already discussed the 119 North Miami. We are quite aware of that issue. I've also spoken to Ed Rubenschmidt. He and I are going to be going over to visit that property, and we're going to ask them to start moving in that direction. I know there was a fallout between you. You got blamed for something that you didn't do, and the police were called. And I
And that's
actually,
another thing. I'm not going to keep this up with the sheriff's department. Every time somebody makes noise, they come at me like I'm some kind of lunatic and start accusing me right off the bat. I've been called a liar more than once by the sheriff's department for telling them the truth. Okay? I am not going to continue with the interrogation from that police department. Whatever their beef is with me, they need to smash it because it's done.
Let me make comment about that too. When it comes to, for example, in this particular situation, the reason I know about it is I heard about it when I was down in Charleston in November. I heard about the police being called. I went ahead and got the report on that. I also called Ed Schmidt because I had just a sense he and I had been talking that he may have visited that place, and that is exactly what happened. He went over there and talked to them about it, and they assumed you were the one that turned it in. Ed was trussed up one side, down the other, and spit back out. Okay, so I want you to understand, he was abused by that family. So, we talked about ways to address that. I didn't have any authority at that point. I had not been sworn in. And I asked him to give me their phone number, and I called them and offered the opportunity and made them very aware of the fact that you had advocated actually for them that the previous owner at the village had paid for a dumpster to clean it up. Mr. Rahal and I talked about that. That was done because it definitely was a health, and I'm not saying it's not now, so please understand. It was a health issue then. It's a health issue now. The difference is it's colder now, and bacteria grows a little bit different in the heat and the cold. But, you know, Ed and I are going to talk. He feels at this point in time that they now know about this dumpster, and that's why they do not want to, or they're not cleaning it up. If that's the case, okay, I can tell you right now, we're ready to take action on that.
Well, let me say something else about that house. There's no furnace in that house.
There's no what?
They don't have a furnace.
Well, then that's definitely a health issue. So, and how do you know that? So I
Because we watched when what was in there, Duke Energy,
In the crawl space.
they were in the crawl space, and we overheard them that furnace was done. So there's not been a new furnace put in. Supposedly, I don't know. I will tell you this. I don't know her, but I knew her sister. Her sister lived at the motel. She had an addiction problem. I did meet the mom at one time. She lived in a very nice trailer out there off of New Haven Road. Apparently they got the mom living over there. I don't know. We've never seen her. But if you come back over there, they have piled mass stuff into that shed. It's starting to sink in the middle.
Ed and I will be talking tomorrow, and we'll be doing a game plan to go over there and address it with them, and then we're going to see what the response is. If it's let me just put it this way, if there's a rationale behind it, if there's something they can't afford, we'll work with them to get it cleaned up. It's not going to stay the way it is. You can count on that. But I also want to address the sheriff's department for a second. I know there's been a relationship issue between you and the police officers. It's always a two-way street between whether they're the city police or the sheriff's department. It's always a two-way street. It always takes two people over. And I understand your version of it. I've seen some of the video of it. I prefer things to be handled that way. However, we're going to have a new day here. And we've got to give the sheriff's department an opportunity. And I'm asking you to do that. And I'm asking the officers to make sure that it's communicated back. And if there are issues, I'd like to know about it from the sheriff's department, because I'm going to support them, but I'm going to support you also. Any other question on that or not?
I'll speak up.
I know you, Mike. I do know you. Any other people in the audience that would like to talk? Okay, then we're going to move along the agenda, and at this point, I'll get the right agenda. We're going to be doing the so the sheriff's department. Would you give us your report for the month, please, sir?
I'm Corporal Justin Schaefer, standing in for Sergeant Mike Carney. Congratulations, Mr. Mayor. Nice to meet you. During this reporting period, there were 117 calls for service, bringing the year total to 1,571. There were 78 non-billable calls for service, bringing that total up to 995. No cases were assigned to detectives for investigation during this period. 3 criminal reports were taken. 8 non-criminal reports were taken. The total for the year on those were 130 and 73 respectively. Auto accidents, 2, bringing the total up to 41. And citations issued was 6, bringing the total to 66.
Now, I'm going to ask some questions that you may not know the answer, and that's fine if you don't. But are there any questions from the council members of the court?
So if they are in regards to this, I can try and answer my best.
That's all right.
Anything else is probably going to be a bit above my pay grade.
That's not a problem.
So,
I just was wondering, when you refer to the citations, you're talking about traffic tickets, I would assume. And do you know if those are happening mostly on US 50 or are they happening elsewhere in the village?
I would not be able to tell you that.
That's the only question I have.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have a question. Are you flying the drones around? The big drones?
We do have drones at our disposal. We don't fly them around just for no reason.
But there's 2 of them?
I can't even tell you how many we have. We have several.
Okay.
I think they have 17 total in the county. And they use those not just to fly around, but they're going out there.
But I mean, you know what I
They're
mean.
going out to look for specific things.
Right.
So, the fire department also has drones, and probably there's a lot of people in the village that have drones. So,
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that. I think from the standpoint of tonight, I appreciate you being here. Thank you very much. Captain Yeager, fire report.
Captain Joe Yanger, thanks for having me this evening. To report on December of 2023. For fire details in the village of Cleves, there was 4 for the month of December. EMS details, there was 25 for the month of December. Your next page will have a breakdown of what those incidents were, the dispatch information there. Page 4 is going to have the total EMS run for Miami County as a whole, 168 for the month of December.
Do you know where the 2 structure fires were?
Yes, the last page will have the actual incidents. One was Bassett, and another was South Miami. And we can reference that CFC there. The Bassett was actually a fire. South Miami was now just smoke in the building. We had actual fire in the South Miami detail. Page 5, inspection bureau code enforcement for the township as a whole. Page 6, staffing, where our cases are being transported to. That's our page there. That's for the whole, all the villages in the township. Exciting stuff. I know Mr. Burns does. A month or 2 ago, we talked about the sand delivery. Sounds like it went well, from what I've heard. We always like doing those things, good for the community. So that took place, as we all know. Up in 70 feet, did a parade on Triple Crown. December 8th, there was a Candy King Lane at the township building. It was a pretty good turnout. There was a lot of faces I know from school and families with young people, so that was a good event. Then the last 2 pages there are the breakdown, the details for the EMS and fire details there.
Council have any questions?
What does a Christmas parade look like for the local community? The Triple Crown thing.
The Triple Crown?
We have a 4th of July spray.
Mm-hmm. And that's common for us to do.
We do the same thing, but
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
was on bikes, or what's the parade?
I don't know what actually took place on the Triple Crown when I was not working that day. However, it's not uncommon for different parades with spraying water, bikes. You got to be kind of a little careful with kids getting in front of you and having a little obstacle area. You want to make sure you can run over. A lot of the parades were parked and spraying water and things of that nature. But anytime you have an interest, just let us know. We can take care of
You
something.
could use an ice rink down there, because you don't.
You might get it next week.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I do have one question. We did receive those last two pages. Was that something that was admitted? Sent to us?
It shows up in the accounting summary.
Yeah, we didn't get those last two.
Okay. I can pass this forward on to you.
For this month or last month? In December?
The current one.
Here's the current copy, so if you want to pass around like that, you can get to there.
Captain Winchell, I have some questions I'd like to ask. They're not necessarily related to your report, but once again, I think it's an opportunity to get information out to the community. I know at the village of North End and over at Miami Township, because I attend their meetings, there's been a lot of discussion about hydrants not working. Could you tell us a little bit, give us a little update of what your knowledge is on hydrants that are not working, and maybe what the cause reason would be?
Right. I just don't fall under my responsibility. They're currently under code enforcement. That's kind of restructured here the last few weeks or months. Sounds like that division has been working well with the Cleves water folks to have some progress on getting those hydrants fixed and back up and running like they should be. I think a little bit of time. It seems like there's progress there, and they're making headway from what I'm understanding.
And then the next question I guess I have, yes, just sort of advice to our residents and maybe anybody else who's watching. You know, we probably don't do quite enough talking about fire safety, the primary causes. I don't know. You worked here a long time. What, in your recollection, what are the primary causes of fires that you deal with here in Miami Township?
Right, that's a good question. They can vary from all kind of things. It's not uncommon for electrical fires, bad devices, misuse of extension boards. This time of year, heating appliance, you have a space heater close to a curtain, does the space heater fall over? Dirty flues, chimneys, folks using like a single wall flue versus the triple wall, which you utilize. Obviously, wintertime, there's seems to be more fires from the heating aspect of it. So if those kind of take a minute and think, does this seem safe, we'll go a long way. Some of just your daily routines and how things are produced in your house, and if something's not being used, I recommend unplugging it. So I'm sure you've seen news articles and things of telephone plugged in for 2 weeks and it starts on fire and different things. So, things like me personally, blenders and stuff like that, I just don't use that stuff plugged in all times. Just try to say that minimal. Smoke detectors, CO detectors, they save lives. Early detection for smoke alarms, wakes you up, gets you out of bed. If you've got a fire on the first floor or second floor, vice versa, that early detection helps the residents and it helps us. CO, as you know, is a silent killer, so to speak. This time of year, all our furnaces are running. If you have gas-fired appliances, it's always nice to have that CO detector in place.
Do you have a recommendation of a specific CO detector that you would recommend?
No, brand-wise, no. If the residents go to Lowe's or Marilee's or what have you, just kind of stick with the main brand. Honeywell, 3M, make a lot of stuff. And they should be in good shape there. You don't realize how important they are. Detectors really go a long way.
I have another question, and it deals with reviewing, I've been reviewing them for a long time, these run reports. It appears there's times where the police are dispatched, but they're not coming to the location. Do you have any sense as to the real need of them being called? Is there a specific reason you think they should be at all runs, or is it okay to miss some? And if so, what are those runs?
Well, it kind of depends on what the nature of the run is. Obviously, some details they have to come. Your non-users, your suicide attempts, your psychiatric emergencies, they're going to clear that scene before we're going to make entry. So those, there's really no yes or no, and they respond.
And they do come to those, correct?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Some of the other things, you're the sick person can fall. If they're available, it seems they come, they back us up. We have a great relationship with the Sheriff's Office. They do a good job for us. Kind of an insurance policy. Do you want to have to use them at scene? Not really, but they do provide a lot of help for us. If we have someone who's real sick and we can't get to communicate with them, we've had them run license plates in the driveway and match them up and say, hey, this is John Smith, because we don't want to take a John Doe to the hospital. That's not too good for their outcome if they have to offer us any information. Lighting, holding doors, I enjoy having them. They do a good job for us. I feel if they get dispatched, if they're available, they're there to help us out.
I'm going to get into an election question now, because when I was out, especially over by Ones, we have the mayors and Cleves, there was some concern over in that area of the village that the runs are coming down from Station 68, and they have concerns about the railroad track and the time it would take to get to the location. They don't think that's where, I'm not saying they're right or wrong, I'm just telling you that's a concern that some of our residents have. Could you talk a little bit about your EMS services? If there is a training, how you handle that from a standpoint of getting there quickly? Are there runs coming from different stations? I mean, I'm not sure exactly we know, or some have been discussed here, how the EMS services, work here in Cleves.
Right. So with the CAD dispatches the closest available management. So your WAM leads with that end. Obviously, 60 is going to come across it from services, but is there a possibility of a train being there? Absolutely is. That medic unit is also going to serve North Bend, Addison, and those other folks like that as well as Cleves. If a unit does encounter a train, they'll jump on the radio and call another unit. Obviously, right now, but just Cliff Road with the construction there is a little more of a challenge. Sometimes you've got to reroute around. Years ago, I should say a year ago, I believe, we tried to start having a conversation with the railroad company about putting a beacon in the station. So in theory, the way I understood it, if the railroad would be able to do this, we could set the distances. If a train's there, the beacon would be lit in the station, so you know to take Cliff or call another house down. Didn't have a whole lot of traction with the rail company. I don't know if that's something maybe you would have some additional resources or power to make that happen.
I don't know how much power I have, but
Probably the more people that voice it.
Yeah.
I know other departments in the county utilize that system. It makes sense if you go out today and the beacon's lit, you've got a train there and you might have to encounter.
I'll get in contact with you on that. We'll talk more about that.
That would be great.
One thing I think Cleves is always concerned about is cost. I think we're due for maybe a new contract. I've heard that we're close to a different contract than we currently have. I know we've got staffing issues. We've got to compete against other. Do you know when? Is there an actual contract with the village, please?
I do not know. That's good.
It's there were a 3-year contract. We still have another year and a half.
Another year and a half of it. Could you tell us a little bit? Do you think your negotiations are going to be completed within this year? I mean, how soon?
Are we talking a union contract?
I'm talking about your union contract.
Yeah.
That's the cost factor.
Gotcha. Yeah, the contract is up to a 15 or 16. It's still open. We haven't had any agreements or anything at this point, so that's been popping.
Thank you very much.
Oh, no problem.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you for having me.
And just, Jerry, this report is not included in the fire report that I received and put in the packet. This was part of the, all the information I sent to all council at the beginning of the month from the staff. So these are the actual dispatch records. Yeah, this is the actual dispatch record. There are addresses and things like that.
Find a way to forward that to see if they say the breakdown.
We get it.
Okay.
I just didn't put it in the packet
Okay.
because Officer Galbraith sent all of the stuff in a summary.
Got it. As long as you got to have
These are the more specifics of the addresses.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
Very much. John, service department?
We took down all the Christmas decorations and then patching potholes with coal mix. Cleaned up leaves where we needed in curb lines. Duke Energy is going to award $5,000 to the village. I applied for a mini grant to put trees down at the substation. That was approved today. And then you may have noticed there's pink spray paint on all the signs on 264 and on 50. Ohio ODOT District 8 has put a contract out to replace all the warning and regulatory signs. So those are markings for the contractor to come and take their signs down and replace signs. That's all I got.
Do you have a time frame for that?
Since they're marked, they'll be out doing them as soon as the signs are made. Once there's so many different signs that they're replacing. They have a sign shop. It's A&A Safety has a sign shop. And once they get their signs made up and stuff, they've already been starting to replace them. They just haven't pulled some out. They've been coming from the east and working this way, so I don't have time from them. I know the contract is probably 3 or 4 years before they get everything done, but they've already started this area, so they should be out here. They should be done in this area by spring.
I got one more thing I think I'd like you to talk about. We had a discussion about your truck. Okay. I'd like you to describe the condition of that truck, what that truck is used for, and what it would cost to maybe repair it.
We have a 2000 dump truck that's generally a salt truck, only lasts 15 years. For our type of jurisdiction, 15 years. Most of them is 10 to 12 years. You give them a little bit more because we don't do a lot of driving and stuff like that. So the dump body on the truck is the size of the dump body is falling off. It's starting to weigh out, and it's pretty heavily rusted. The salt spreader is the same age and stuff, so the dump truck wasn't even actually our dump truck. Before I was even here, somehow a truck got switched in order, and we got somebody else's dump truck from Washington Township. It was their truck, so I don't know how it got here. I don't know any specifics, but I just got an estimate today, $22,000 to replace the dump body and the salt spreader on it.
Just so the public knows, if you were to purchase, North Bend had this problem 2 years ago, and they wound up replacing it because the cost of a new truck like they were talking about here is between $102,000 and $110,000. You still have a lot of life in that truck mileage-wise, so I think it's something the finance committee is going to need to look at. Obviously, I want to talk about the fact that we have a stretched budget. But one of the questions the residents had throughout the campaign was, how's our money getting spent? Okay, and honestly, when you don't have money, a whole lot of it, you can't really spend it. But you can't also just say, let it go, because I know you and I talked about, if we had a bad winter, you worry about whether it would make it through the winter. Am I correct on that? So it's going to be something we're going to have to discuss. So you guys know here is that John's comment was that's a summer project to do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's not anything that's imminent, that's going to happen right now, but it's something we need to have on our radar. Thank you, John.
John, I have a question.
Go ahead.
I just, you went over that so fast. The Duke Award for $5,000, trees around where?
The substation on Mount Nebo.
The substation on Mount Union. Okay. Oh, okay, is that gonna satisfy that neighbor that came to us and
Correct.
said that he wanted some landscaping there?
Correct.
Okay, so the trees will be around the fence?
It'll be on the outside of the fence in the way.
And the neighbor is satisfied with that?
That's what Mr. Abel was asking.
Okay. That came, yeah.
And I apologize for not asking council if they have questions.
Any update on what your group came out?
No, I probably got another 2 weeks yet before I do anything. They said mid to late January. I know we're right out there, so I'm just looking towards the 1st of February. If it comes in sooner, I can let it go.
Thanks,
Thank you, John.
I just noticed you were laughing. I was wondering.
Oh, I was just sitting too long. I was sitting too long.
Okay.
That's what happens.
No, buddy, I'm telling you.
John, if you need to go, feel free to do that. Mr. Reynolds?
Council packets, our next meeting, we had a lot of extenuating circumstances and issues, obviously, that came up with the transition. We're going to make every effort to get them out by the Fridays prior to the meeting, including packets for the public. So I apologize for that, the things were coming in fast and furious, and we had some changes and things, so hopefully we got the bugs worked out. As you probably know, and for the public, we had 2 resignations. Our law director and Councilwoman Myers both resigned effective January 1st. I'd like to thank them for their service. Our current position openings are a fiscal officer / clerk, which we're going to talk about later today, law director, and a council position. As you recall, the council position, council elects their own or chooses their own replacement within 30 days of the resignation letter, which is January 1st. To date, we have 6 candidates and coming in fast and furious, so we have at least 6 candidates for council. We have 2 potential law directors resumes. Requirements for council are residency for at least 1 year. We typically set a special meeting up in executive session, and we do 15 to 30-minute interviews with viable candidates. We should probably do that toward the end of this month. We'll find a time and date and keep you posted as to any other candidates.
Well, the council has 30 days to replace the vacant council seat. So if we wait till the end of the month, are we gonna run out of time? Since we don't have, unless we have another council meeting.
I said toward the end of the month, as long as it's within the 31 days. And also, the history has been that we've had a number of replacements for council, that even if it's gone past 30 days, there's still input from council that's taken into consideration for certain. By law, the mayor can appoint someone after 30 days, but I think we could still get it in within the 30-day period.
Well, we won't be able to unless we have an extra meeting this month.
We'll have to look at the scheduled meeting. In regards to candidates, are these all that have found out about the position by word of mouth? Have we put any kind of public notice out there of the vacancy?
We haven't put any notice out. It's been word of mouth. We are trying to get the website up and running, taking over transition lines again, so it hasn't been any medium for us to advertise. But as I said, we've had 6.
6 is a good number. That's more than we've ever had before.
Right.
I received information on 4. Are there 2 more recently?
One this evening and one this afternoon. So I'll get those. I'm trying not to piecemeal them, but I'll get them together and send you plenty of time.
Do we want to go have a look at the calendar and?
I think that would be a good idea. Because it would have to be posted, correct? Even though
Especially,
2 days,
yes.
yes. The interviews are executive session, but it does have to be posted.
Is there gonna be a cutoff or deadline for,
I think that's council's choice.
Mm-hmm. Well, we already have 6. It's the 10th of January. When are we looking to meet? Because the cutoff should be before we meet.
If you kept Wednesdays, you could do the 24th.
Maybe the cutoff of the 19th to give time to get the resumes together and interview scheduled. Or
Mr. Mayor, you had previously just mentioned that you were going to go to 2 council meetings a month. Are we going to go ahead and do that, or are we staying at 1 a month?
Right now, that's still a council decision.
Okay. So at this point, there's nothing scheduled for the 24th.
Correct.
I'm available the 24th. Okay. Another day that week. I can do Thursday the 25th.
I should be able to.
I can do the 25th.
Check my calendar.
We could also do the law directors, perhaps, with the same meeting. Yeah,
We're kind of done. I would love to.
If I can comment on that, I've looked at the resumes, and quite frankly, I have a candidate that I would like to be looked at soon, and sometimes it's sort of difficult because he is so busy.
Is there one of the candidates you forwarded your information to us on?
Yep, and I can mention his name, but I'd rather not to do that up here. But the bottom line, I've been pushing him to give me some dates that he is available, and I pushed him because of the fact he is so busy. But January 16th or 17th, he's available. I did not go out beyond that. I don't know if you want to try to meld those together. I mean, as far as, I know that's a lot in one night.
We currently have 6 council, and there's 2.
I'm only going to be recommending one.
But there's 2 that have applied, and so we have 2 interviews.
No, not actually. I think by Ohio Vice Code, it is my choice to send it to you. And you either reject that choice, and then we go on to the next one.
So we don't have to hold interviews for you on the
No,
record.
but I do want you to talk to us. I do want council to say, yeah, this is a person we want. And if that's not who you want, we will move on. Remember, but I believe he's a very well qualified attorney, and I believe that it is affordable because he already understands we have some financial issues. I think we need to try to control as much cost as we can.
So in regards to that meeting on Ken, you said he's available the 16th.
Yeah, but I can check the other dates. I'm just saying, I wanted to tie him down in case you guys were looking at dates for this next week. But I can ask him to go out and for the same week you guys are talking about. It doesn't matter to me. But I agree with Linda, we need to have a law director.
Do we want to do all 6 council interviews on the same night, or do we want to split them up and make them separate?
I would prefer to dedicate one night. That's just me. I'm a night owl though, so if I'm here till 11 o'clock, I'm fine with that. But I would rather dedicate one night and get it done.
What time can we start?
I cannot be here any sooner than 6:30, so I would be there latest.
And we're looking at 15, 20-minute interviews. Is that-
In the past, that's what we've had.
That's just my opinion. I'm willing to do whatever you guys want to do. That's
So
just,
for council interviews, is everybody okay with Thursday, December the 25th at 6:30 p.m.?
What was that date again, Jerry?
Thursday, January the 25th, starting at 6:30 p.m. Are you okay with that day, Kevin? Okay.
And that's for the council only?
That'll be for the council, open council seat position. So if we're going to do interviews on the 25th, why don't we close the applications on the 23rd? Everybody in agreement?
23rd being a Tuesday.
Tuesday? 2 days prior, that way we have to schedule more, and we've got time to get it again.
How are we gonna advertise that?
Well, you don't have the website up operational. Okay, so that presents one problem. I do think you can probably get information out on the townships. We can probably get it on the sign down here. We can post it like we normally do in the post office, and I'll be glad to put it in the dispatch. But I don't know what you're going to do until we have that website. We don't have access.
Well, currently, we can do the postings at the library, the post office, and our administration building.
Is that satisfy the law?
Yeah, I would think so. That's why we need to make sure we have a website.
I can also call WCRC radio. They'll make it.
As far as Miami Township, if they would be willing to put it on their message board over there.
I've already talked to Dan Blanton about putting things on there, and they will do that.
Okay, that, if we did the posting and it's on there, then I think people in the community would see it.
Yeah, I'm curious how this works. Now, you guys will do the interviews one evening, and I don't know, is that considered an executive?
We would schedule a meeting, then we would go into executive session to interview council.
The same night? Or-
That night, yeah. So the interviews would be conducted in executive session, and then we would discuss amongst ourselves as far as the candidates, their qualities and qualifications, and we would decide we would have to come out of executive session then to be able to motion to appoint one and vote on it.
So you'll come out of executive session and then vote on it in a public.
In an open public meeting.
Okay.
And
And
would we do it, so that meeting will be considered an official.
It's a special meeting, yeah.
Okay.
And that's ideally, if there's no consensus, then you may have to adjourn and reconsider or whatever. But
Yeah.
the idea, typically in a perfect world, it would be a decision made that evening. Yeah.
We're going to give any consideration to accommodating people who can't be there to interview on Thursday the 23rd.
I think we can easily pick a secondary night. I never thought about that, but that, we could choose 2 nights and,
There's a time crunch. There are limits to what we professionally offer here, and it is our prerogative. Like,
Yeah,
we could vote right now on our favorite person if we wanted to. But
If we were to go to secondary night, I am actually out of town the 27th through the 31st.
Some people work second shift. You're right, Kevin. I mean, some
I
people work
don't know if
second
it's an
shift.
issue yet. I just, in advance of
I mean,
that.
I would be available Friday evening, the 26th, as a secondary.
What I would suggest is that we ask for is earnest effort to meet the 25th for our candidates.
That's definitely
And
that you've already got, you know.
then I would suggest we do the 26th if others are agreeable to that as a reserve, in which case the voting would be then. So we would have to announce both contingent upon the plan forming on the 23rd.
Well, you can contact the applicants and see their availability. Or
Yeah,
you can post the one meeting.
ideally it'll be resolved before the 23rd, but if that's our cutoff, then I think that would handle that. I would suggest that if somebody wanted to supplement their like we can look at their application on that night, irrespective of whether or not they can make an interview, and we would be wowed by that, but perhaps they'd be allowed to submit other media, a video pitch or something like that.
Well, would it make sense to maybe do a Saturday morning as a secondary, like the 20th and the 25th, and
We already used Jerry on
on the
On the
20th?
20th, no, I could do the 20th. I'm flying out early on the 27th. I could do the 20th.
I'm just wondering if
We gotta change the closing date.
we would have, we'd have to change the, I'm just throwing it out there as a potential, because that'd be during the day. you know, and do it in the morning.
Why don't we see of the 6 candidates, if all are available on the 25th, then any other new people, we could take it at that point.
The other option would be to move them up to the 23rd, move up the closing date to the 21st. And then anybody that's not available on the 23rd would hopefully be available on the 25th. 23rd will work.
So to go into executive session, you have to actually convene the meeting first, is that right?
Yes.
Protocol?
Yes.
It doesn't have to be an evening meeting, it can be during the day, actually, it can be any, as long as it's advertised, is that right? We have to advertise it. 24 hours ahead,
48 hours.
48 hours, okay, well,
Special meeting.
But if there's no consensus, you can come out of executive session and immediately adjourn. If you believe that you've got a concession, then you come out of executive session and you can make motions and actually go ahead and appoint somebody at that point.
Yeah. The last time they did this, I don't remember them actually having a meeting and then going into executive session. Did they?
The interviews were held in executive session. And we had a special meeting.
I was one of them, year and a half ago. So I remember.
Just so I have it straight in my head, because we go to a lot of meetings out here, so I'm going to say for the public, and just so you're aware, I know we do have people watching tonight, and this video will also be made available for public consumption. So I think people are going to have a fairly good sense of when this is going to happen. I just don't remember where all the deadlines are right now. So what's the deadline that they're going to close off applications? What was that date again?
23rd?
So it is still the 23rd?
Yeah, because we can't meet on the 23rd. Do you have a conflict? Yeah, so, but that can be the cutoff date.
So that's the cutoff date. And your meeting dates are again what?
The 25th is what?
We haven't decided on the second.
And the second, if there is a second fallback, what date is that?
No, we don't.
Well, we don't
That's-
really,
we'll
possibly
leave it
Friday the 27th.
Okay.
26.
26th, yeah. Okay.
What time on the 23rd?
6:30. On
No,
the
no,
cutoff
no.
time, I would say close of business.
On the 23rd.
5
Yeah.
o'clock.
The deadline would be,
Well, I don't know, what time do you leave office? 5 p.m.? Yeah, then that's what I would say.
you have to advertise this 48 hours in advance on how long you're advertising it.
The regular way you post any special meeting.
But I don't know where was it exactly posted right now.
It could be posted
They
in
post them
three
in those-
places.
those places that we mentioned.
Okay, okay. And that'll be state law, okay.
It used to be more than that, but have they decreased it?
If there's a daily paper in the area, then that's the requirement. If we don't have that, they allow an email posting.
Okay.
We've always put it on the website. When the website
Yeah, when we have enough up and running website.
So that is for the council seat. Are you going to try to schedule something and let us know before you?
I'll try, if you want me to try to schedule it on those same dates, I'll be glad to do that.
I would like the opportunity to meet them.
Yeah, I think we need it.
There's two, right? One Friday.
This is the only
Well, we're gonna go with one that he's recommending first. And then if we don't like that one, then we can consider interviewing the
If
second.
you're just not, say, no, we don't want them, we gotta go on.
It doesn't make sense to me. Why wouldn't we invite both of them the same night?
Because
It has something to do with the way the law is
by
written.
Ohio revised code, the mayor is the one who recommends, not the council.
So he's
Council
making a recommendation.
approves, council approves. You get to meet him, you get to interview him,
The law director, yeah.
and then you will decide yea or nay. If it's nay, we gotta move on to another candidate.
It's
Want me to
just
send-
done differently.
You want me to send you the
You
Ohio
want another
revised?
meeting
You
for
want
us?
me-
Council would have to meet us a third time?
No, it would if you object.
We don't have a time limit with that though. I mean, I want to get one as soon as possible, but we don't have like a 30-day time limit. You're just operating without a law director. I would feel more comfortable having a village solicitor or law director or whatever.
How did we get 2 applications, if that's the one?
What, someone sent in, and then, we reached out to something, right? I mean,
Now, I actually had reached out to someone long before you guys, once I found out. And so then somebody else sent it in. I have no idea who that person is. I've not spoken to that person. I spoke to a number. And I can tell you if that one is not the one, then I already have a second one I've already talked to for a law director. I will be glad to send Council tomorrow the actual Ohio Revised Code, which shows you the process. The process is exactly what I said. The mayor recommends you guys get to determine whether you're voting to accept.
I asked for referrals from 3 separate law directors that I knew. And I'm not sure if that's how the person got to it first, but it hasn't been advertised, so.
The word gets out, I'm sure.
Are there any other questions? Then I'd like to move on to the committees for this coming year. And after table, I put together a description of the committees that I would like to recommend. And I'd like to have some time to explain to you why I came up with those particular committees, which are going to comment. There's more of it.
Right. If I looked at this right, finance, parks, and public safety, I thought there was a zone.
There's a whole thing.
I've got this.
That's what we're talking about.
Okay, I'm looking at it.
Right at the very top.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see, okay. And then you go with section.
Yeah, I just like to go through this.
I got it, I see it now.
So the public knows,
I don't have it.
you should have had one since committees for
Sitting
2024.
in,
Those at your desk.
This only has been signed. It's at your desk.
It's not at our desk. It's not at our desk.
there's one here.
Well, I didn't see it in the email.
So I actually laid one at each one of those at the start of this meeting.
I had one at mine. I didn't, you had one.
There's one in the audience there. I'm sorry, that I think about probably over here.
I think.
You have that. You have front side. You have back.
I didn't get it at all. This one I didn't get
Take a couple more back. Anybody need a back? Back in that.
I'd like to start with the committees, says zoning commission and zoning board of appeals, and before I do that, I want to let you know there's already an appeal. This particular committee is actually required, not only by Ohio Revised Code, but by your own ordinances. So what you have here at the start where it says committees for 2024, zoning commission, zoning board of appeals. The Planning and Zoning Commission is a local elected and appointed government board charged with recommending to the village council the boundaries of the various original zoning districts and appropriate regulations to be enforced therein, and any proposed amendments thereto, and shall collect data and keep itself informed as to the best practices generally in effect in the matter of the village planning and zoning, to the end that it may be qualified to act on measures affecting the present and future movement of traffic, the segregation of residential and business districts, and the convenience and safety of persons and property in any way dependent on city planning and zoning. This is actually adopted by the village council, and it's on your website. This particular committee is not operating. We've had a zoning committee, I guess, that it is not operating by their own code. It has not operated by their own code. Currently, Ed Lindeman distributed a letter to area residents that are contiguous to a property. It's over here at Cleves Auto Body. Some of the residents have already complained about it. They think it's a junkyard. It is not a junkyard. I have talked to people as to, I tried to talk to the owner, but I missed him these last 2 days. But from what I understand, he is a collector of antique vehicles and restores them. I don't know all the details of what explains some of it to me. Just so you know, as far as the Lindeman is concerned, even by your own statute, our village enforcement officer is supposed to be approved by the village council, and I don't believe that's ever happened. So I think Ed's very well qualified. I think Mr. Grayhall may have hired him. I think he did a good job of hiring him. So I would certainly recommend that, but I think you need to meet him too. I talked to him about this. He was under the impression that we were going to name a committee tonight. That is impossible. And it's impossible because on the other part of this is your appeals commission or appeal board. That has to have village residents on it. They have to be appointed, and they have to be approved by you as the village council. There is a section in your ordinances that allows you to pay them. I contacted the village of Addiston. They pay theirs $20 an hour. They only meet, though, when there's an appeal. So it's not like you're going to be, spending a lot of money. I don't even know how many appeals we've had over the last.
This would be for a zone change.
Yeah, it's for a zoning change. It used to be business, I believe, and then it became residential. No, he was a business that existed, I think, and then they changed it, and he bought 2 lots, and he wants to take those 2 lots and put a fence up, and he would need a zoning change to do it now. That's how it works.
Is that a zoning change or a variance?
Well, it'd be a variance. It could be
The
a
Board of
variance.
Appeals would also
Yeah.
hear
Yeah, it could be a variance. Yep.
variances too, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so you've got this listed kind of like it's one committee, but
It's sort
you've got your planning and zoning committee of council,
That's
and
right.
then you can have your zoning board and planning board of appeals or whatever. And the members that are on the committee of council would also be part of the appeals automatically or not?
I think from what I understand, I talked to the mayor of Addiston, and what she told me is that this is like a court hearing when you're doing it. Your village solicitor should be there. You are not to help the people that are asking. They're supposed, if council is giving an appeal on that, or that committee's giving an appeal, I believe the mayor sits on it and 1 councilman,
Okay.
but they have no vote. Okay, it's the 3 citizens who decide in the end. So they have, it's almost like a court. You've got to have minutes of it. You've got to maintain those minutes. And everything you do is voted on, and that's all recorded. And they can bring an attorney, they can bring witnesses. It's all done in executive session. The reason the residents were upset because when they saw that, they thought we were actually making the decision on the variance tonight. They misread the actual notice. And as I told Ed, I said, we can't make this happen tonight.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So you said that's done in executive session, but if someone requests a variance,
my understanding of the ORC is that if someone requests a variance, you have to hold a hearing. You have to notify some people within 200 feet of that property so that they have the opportunity to come and voice any objections.
That's correct.
That would
But
be.
that's
That's
an
a
open,
pub- that's a
that's a
public
public meeting, that's not an executive
That's
session.
correct. But when you go to deliberate,
Okay,
that's an executive session.
okay. I misunderstood what you
Well,
were saying.
it's
The whole thing was an
It's
executive
confusing. I've actually never done this. It doesn't sound like we've done it, at least not recently.
Well, yeah, in the past, maybe, I have memory,
Yeah,
but not very often.
There's
but
been nothing done the last few years.
No.
no. And that's why I tried to contact a village that's actually operating the way it's supposed to be operating. And honestly, we'd be much better off talking about that second one with the law director and taking that advice before we do anything. Because I've never done this, but that's your own ordinance.
When you're looking at committees of council, what we used to have was a chairman and two other council. Each committee consisted of 3 council people. Anybody could come, the whole council could go. But the committee itself consisted of a chair and then 2 additional council people on that committee. Is that what you have in mind?
On the planning commission, that one, yes.
Yeah,
The
and
other
then
one,
every other committee you're mentioning.
yes.
So the mayor and possibly the chair of the planning committee would be the 2 representatives that would most likely sit on
On the
the
other one,
commission. That, yeah,
yeah.
possibly. I mean, that would make sense. I just wanted to see how you were thinking that the structure of the committees would be.
Yeah, I don't know that it's any different necessarily than what's been in the past. I think the real key here is the fact that you have 5 elected, they actually have terms. When they're appointed, you have one that's gonna serve a 2-year term, and you got, it's like 3 years, two,
Staggered going.
yeah, they're staggered, 4 and 5 years respectively, so that not everybody's turning over at the same time.
They don't have to run for election, right? There's just
No,
an
these
appointment of
are
council.
appointments.
Appointments.
So if we name those people for on the appeals board, they're going to have a term, and they're not all going to be leaving at the same time. So it isn't just putting a member on, because I think, if I understood right, Mike, I think in the past, you guys had a member.
Yeah, we had a combination of a zoning board and planning board. The true ZBA, zoning board of appeals, is a commission, it's not a subcommittee with council. And the requirements are that everyone on that board be a resident, whether they're a council member or the mayor.
I think
So I would be
it's-
excluded from that, and then there's staff assistants where they would collect the information to give to the board.
And I think they have to be an elector, which means they're a registered voter.
Okay.
So you just can't have a resident on there, they have to be an elector.
And we had myself and the mayor and another council member or 2, so I wasn't a resident, so it really wasn't an official zoning board of appeals. It was more a hybrid of the 2.
I don't know that we really had that authority to do that. And that's why I think it's best that this particular committee, we can certainly,
We just want to do it the right way from this point moving forward.
that's
Yes.
certainly naming the committee members as the actual committee, that's one thing. Doing the zoning appeals board is a second thing.
Well, it looks like we would have to start out appointing 5 people. One would have a 1-year term, one a 2-year, one a 3, one a 4, and one a 5.
Yep.
Okay.
I'd like to bring to your attention, Mr. Mayor, also, there is a second variance request.
Oh, is it? That
I
was,
submitted one well over a month ago
I don't know anything about it.
regarding the violation I received from my neighbor's chickens.
I'm aware of that, but I wasn't
I
aware.
have requested hearing, I requested an appeal and a variance at the same time.
Who did you turn that in?
I'll email it to Mr. Schmidt, I believe you brought it, Mr. Van Hall, the mayor.
Yeah, but I believe it was resolved
Well,
because there was a
Here's my question. I don't think he has the authority to issue a variance without going through the process of holding a public hearing. My last conversation with him, he stated he was going to go ahead and issue a variance to me and my neighbor. I haven't received anything from him since then, but I'm not comfortable with it not going through the process it should be. I don't ever want to be accused of doing anything or getting any special treatment because I'm on council. I have not spoken with Mr. Lindenschmidt in a month. I was waiting until this meeting to, waiting for us to get a new board established so that I could then follow up on it. But there will be a second.
I thought the variance request was because there was a question of the number of chickens.
No,
That was
the only thing I was in violation of was the 20-foot from all property lines rule. But where my chickens are, they're only 4.5 foot on the back from my neighbor's property. It's actually the property is between the two garages, and he has chickens in the same location. So I did request a variance for that 20-foot rule.
Well, it's on the agenda now. Thank you.
So, yeah.
I seem to remember we have a village ordinance against any livestock. Have we ever rescinded that
I
ordinance?
could not find any ordinance on that, and there have been other people that have come to council in the past requesting, asking if they could have chickens, and they were
And it's kind of even- Well, I'm just saying we may have another problem. We may have an ordinance on the books, because it wasn't just chicken, it was livestock. Because we had an issue with a lady over here who had goats, and I'm just saying, I think I found one. It was pretty old, but I think there's one on the books that we may have to.
regards to chickens, I think we fell back on Henry County.
Right.
We followed Henry County.
And they restrict the number, and they restrict no rooster because of the sound.
Okay. I just I didn't want to
There's
throw a
other-
monkey wrench. I'm just saying, I'm
Right.
pretty sure we had a village ordinance, not
You can
a
find
zoning.
it. I couldn't find it anywhere in any of my records.
It was a pretty old one.
Well, it's another reason to update the zoning code, obviously, because the original code that was adopted last by council allows for animal husbandry in home and woods. So
Well,
we need to eliminate some of those antiquated laws that are passed many times.
okay.
But yeah, the zoning board of appeals is residents only, and staff assistants, when they would do the legwork and the mailings and things like that, then give a recommendation to the board to just give them the information. The board itself would make a decision and then recommend it to council as well as approve.
Any other discussion on that particular committee? We're not going to appoint them tonight. I'd like you to, if you want to serve on that committee, I'd like you guys to email me, if you want to be on it and why. And then I will at the next meeting, indicate who's on the list.
Is there a way you can, I know our website's down, but as soon as we get our website up and running, we put it on the website, that we're looking for members of the community to serve on that board of appeals too.
And I'm probably going to put something on the next bill anyhow now. So, the next committee, this was not as complicated. It's Finance, Economic Development, and Communications. This committee will review the village finances and recommendations for expenditures, i.e., maintenance, snow government, under the municipal board. Work to support the expansion of and support the existing local businesses, assist the village administrators in seeking grants, and in particular the Hamilton County redevelopment grants. We all aware that Lord County got $400,000. I talked to Steve Johns at Hamilton County. He believes we will definitely qualify. There's different projects that can be worked on, and I believe that Mike and I have already talked about the fact that I want to work on the grants. But I think we need to look at revitalizing the South Miami corridor, other areas of the village. The communication side of this, I believe we should be writing an article blog, then I'm gonna let you go for the blog part of this, because I think you had a discussion with me the other day about doing some type of blog, letters to the community concerning the village budget, and assist and support the fiscal office. I believe that we have to try and get more business into the community. We're not that big, but not just the area down where Skyline is. We have a ghost town on this end.
Yes.
And I started talking to the business people. I took Dale Drew out for breakfast yesterday. We discussed that. I think he is probably interested in maybe being a part of that committee, or at least a resource. So he believes the same thing. He thinks that area is been ignored, and we need to figure out some way to redevelop it. Any questions on that? Why I structured it that way?
Well, that's gonna be a pretty busy committee.
Yes, it is.
Is passage of a levy going to be part of the responsibility of the finance? Or are we going to have a separate
I think that's.
levy committee that just
I think
meets
that should
until
be
the levy?
council as a whole, not for one person.
And that's, well, there wouldn't be one person. We'd have 3 finance committee members, right?
Well, I can tell you, let me just say this for the public knows. Jerry Meister carried the load on her back as far as the finance committee.
And she did a good
On her
job.
back.
She should have had help. There should have been
There
2
was
of them.
one, the prior mayor appointed only 2 council members to a committee, and the other person on the committee never showed up in meetings.
Well, I would like to change that. I would like to go back to
I agree. I
having
think there
3
should be
members, because the way it used to work is the finance committee would meet, and if you'd have to vote on what you were going to take to council. And if 2 of the 3 committee members agreed to take an issue to council, it came to council. If 2 said no, it didn't even come before council. And that's the way the committees used to kind of work. This is a lot of responsibility for one person.
The
The way it's
last part,
outlined.
this is much more responsibility, but I'm gonna say it again. That she took it all on her back.
Oh, I know, and I'm not saying anything negative. I'm just saying it's a lot of
I
responsibility.
think when it comes to the levy and passing a levy and getting information out though, I think all of council should be involved on that, in that.
Oh, I don't disagree with that. But
Yeah, I'm gonna be talking a little bit more about that in the mayor's report, but, I think from the standpoint of the finance committee, those things all fit together. They all fit together. And when you think about getting more business in, especially small business, the more you generate, the better off we're going to be. I'm not talking about an income tax. I'm just talking about the fact that economic activity is good for everyone. You know, every single person. That money turns over. There's actually a formula that they can calculate out for every $7 spent, what type of economic impact it has on the community. And we need to be encouraging people, and I'm going to say it, up on the hill, they start coming down here and supporting our local business. We have 3 good bars. I know something that, for example, some of them are not good. I don't agree with that. I think they are all good. And what I would suggest is that we start involving them also to help us not only help them bring business down, but also to help us pass the levy. I don't think there's any way around it. That's what I'm planning on taking out. Everyone I can get to go out to a meal, sit down and discuss and talk about the issues in this village. And how can we work together to make sure it is financially stable.
so do you have a deadline in mind, Chuck, of when you would want us to let you know what committees we
I'd
would
like
be
it as
interested
soon
in?
as possible. And if I can, unless you guys want to discuss it, I'll be glad to email you those so that you can start thinking about, I guess in the past, the mayor has named the chairperson, I would assume.
The mayor appointed council members to committees.
Then the committee
And
determined
then-
who the chairperson was?
The mayor in his appointment appointed the chairperson.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that then.
And then didn't council agree and then ratify the mayor's recommendation?
Yeah, council, well, was it?
That's fine.
And that was tacit at best in the last two instances.
I want to talk
That
about,
was tacit at best in the last few instances. Right, okay, here's the list. Sure. There certainly wasn't a motion to approve.
I don't have a problem, I think you should have a motion to approve. On this next one, I put together parks. Why did I put these right in here? Because I believe the old council started the process of rejoining the flag.
At one point, the mayor comment is we drive granted and paid for the state rent.
And there is money available, and that usually deals with health and fitness and maintenance type of items. I know they gotta have a committee, and you gotta have a community meeting, so it seems to fit there. The grants are important, and then when we talk about the health and recreation needs of the village residents, I'm hoping that we get some residents to participate, because I think you have to have we've got to have some residents that are. I think we need to have more discussion on that. You notice that I did not put in there beautification committee. And there's a reason why I didn't put it as a beautification. I have no problem with it being a beautification committee, but when this was discussed back under, I think 2 years ago, I remember that meeting very well. Mrs. Boyce fought very hard for the beautification committee, and I think it's a great thing for the village. That was an ugly process by every means. And I can remember being told, we're not putting any money into it. You can go ahead and do it, but we're not putting any money into it. So I think if you want that to be a part of this, that's also something we need to discuss now. And if you want to add the beautification committee in there, that will be the title of it. It will be Parks and We Thrive and Beautification. I'd like to hear from council how you feel about that.
I think it's the logical place for the beautification to be with the park. At one time, they considered the gazebo one of our parks. So it wasn't just Cleves Community Parks. The gazebo is considered one of our parks.
Let me ask a question. The beautification committee, have you received your tax exempt status?
Yes, we have.
So how is that going to, how will that affect us then operating under a village committee?
It might be better listed
Because
separately.
they have their 501c3, do they have to operate as a
That's
separate committee? Or can they operate as part of the parks?
That's a good question, Jerry, and I
I
don't
think we
know.
should clarify with the Walden.
I will ask the guy I'm going to recommend to you, and he will give us an answer. He would give me answers the entire time, what not to do, what to do.
If they are able to, with their tax exempt status, raise their own funds, separate from, but that, there might be some gray lines there with them as part of the village. So
Right.
We're tax
need the
exempt as well, we're
clarification.
nonprofit.
I think there's a problem.
But
Here's what I thought the problem was. I do think it needs to be part of it, but I'm not looking, okay? I think it poses when, for example, if you're saying we're members of the village council and we're asking people for donations, and it's not approved by this council as part of it, I think that's not good. I don't know what the answer to it is.
I think we need this clarification.
Yeah.
And
And I'll write up what I think I'm hearing here today. I'm going to send it out to you tomorrow. And then if I'm phrasing it the right way, just tell me I'm phrasing it the right way, and I'll send it on and ask him whether or not what we're thinking about doing is legal, and get a ruling from him. Are you guys okay with that?
Hold on, I don't think we're done discussing.
Judy's done a wonderful job with beautification
Yes,
committee,
she
with the
has.
banners and things,
Yep.
in the activities, the things that you have done throughout the year. And I think with the parks is a great place for beautification to continue. But I just want to make sure that we're doing everything legal and we don't get ourselves stuck in anything.
Unfortunately, I didn't know about this conversation, and I, last year, helped receive the 501c through the state and the federal. And as far as asking for donations for restaurants, we asked for $25 gift cards, like no different than if you had an animal rescue, the Kiwanis, Three Rivers, Women's Club, they all go around and ask for donations. Any nonprofit asks for
But they're
donations.
entities of themselves.
So are we.
But
We're
do we
entities
want
of
to,
ourselves.
so do we want to separate that committee from parks? That's the legal question, is should we separate that from parks?
We can take
It all-
donations for a park too. Someone can donate, the women's club one year donated $3,000 for the park benches that were out there at one time. And it came through the village.
We didn't want solicited those.
It's already certified through the state of Ohio, it's certified through the federal and state government. It's a separate nonprofit.
So do you want to keep it separate from the village?
I'm gonna ask the committee tomorrow, I invited you to our committee meeting tomorrow, but you didn't answer me. Are you gonna come tomorrow to our committee meeting? Because I invited you to come.
I asked Mr. Rahal to have a conversation with you about that. I don't think that probably has happened.
Well, you asked if you.
I don't think this is the place for us to be discussing that.
Is that open to the public?
Yes. Yeah.
And where do you hold that at?
It's 2:00, it's always the second Thursday of the month, and it's at 2:00 at CT Young. Yeah, we have officers. It's just, it would be like if you want to rescue dogs in a community, whatever, it's a nonprofit.
Okay, but where do you go in at down there at CTO? In the back
The
or on
front
the
door,
side?
you have to be buzzed in. Yeah,
Where?
the front door at CT Young, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to answer that email until that discussion between Mr. Rahal and you take place.
What?
I will not answer your email about the beautification committee until Mr. Rahal has a discussion with you privately.
But I'm asking you right now if
I'm
you're
not
coming.
I'm not going to commit to
If you're not
coming.
coming, you're not coming, or you are
I'm not going to
coming.
commit one way or the
No
other.
RSVP.
I am not going to commit one way or the other.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine, I just wanted to get it in the record.
So in regards to the beautification committee, you're going to check with a law
Yes.
person to advise us if that needs to be something that is completely separate from council.
Yes. And I will send you a
You
draft
let us
of what
know
I'm
the
going to
answer.
send him before I send it to him. I'd like you guys to say, yeah, I'm describing it the right way.
Okay.
I really don't know what you're going to ask. But.
Well, I think
Let
what,
me express a little bit.
yeah, go ahead.
One of the questions I think we could ask is, it'd be asking a private citizen, not a council member, that, all right, you've gone to the trouble of creating this organization, it has its socially dedicated function, is it evident? And you have organized social capital around this purpose. What is your opinion on the most effective way forward on how to beautify the village of Cleves? I assume that's our goal. And that can be a sub-function of one committee. It can be its own committee. And there's no reason that you couldn't have public organizations, private organizations, or cooperation between them. So I'm very pragmatic in this, and I would be very interested in Judy's opinion as to what she thinks the best way forward is. Frankly, I don't know. I do not share any legal concerns about this, but in the past, if you refer to nastiness in that meeting, I think it was financial or control oriented. I don't know that it was conflicts or impropriety or ethics.
Well, I was here that night, and I thought they treated her poorly.
Okay, and if the poor treatment was, I I rhetorically, not Kevin Burns, don't think that this should be funded at all, which we've gotten that line with things that I'm interested in as part of our. Parks has not gotten a lot of love. It's been most of what I've put my effort into for the village. There's been hostility towards spending money toward this thing and that thing. But that's not a legal concern. That's not an ethical concern. So I'll reiterate. I'm pragmatic on this, and I would be largely deferential to Judy and say, what are you interested in doing? If there's an overriding concern from council, I guess that governs it. But if you want to speak. But
Thank you. I saw a need. There's lots of needs. There's lots of different needs. So I don't think there's a big need to argue about it. I saw a need, and I was told it's too small, we don't have the money. It's too small, we don't have the money. Every time I brought up something about beautifying, like something, I was told either we're too small, we don't have enough money. So I just started my own committee. I actually spoke with Fran Wamberger. I spoke with her because she does a great job in North Bend. She asked me how to do it, and she recommended that I start my own 501(c)(3). On Fran's recommendation, which I think Kevin is the one who said, why don't you go to North Bend and talk to her, which I did. And that's how it was rough. We've only been going for 2 years, but we are with the federal and state government right now. So I'd like to keep it separate.
So you don't want it to be a sanctioned community by the village?
Well, the village is having some financial issues. I'm afraid that would be the first thing cut because it is an aesthetic thing. It's not a necessity.
I'm not looking, I can't imagine anybody's going to be looking at cutting it. I think what it really boils down to is two things. One is, are we going to spend time in a council meeting talking about a committee that we haven't sanctioned? That's one question. The second question is not knowing exactly how, and it goes to somewhat to your extent about me coming down to your meeting. I'm not sure I'm going to spend a lot of time on that committee when I know I got a lot of other things I've got to work on. But if it is a sanctioned committee, yeah, I'm probably going to be attending. So to me, I guess that's an issue. And the other issue is I think if you're going to do it separately, I don't know how you communicate with people, but I don't think you should be saying, and I'm not saying you are, you should be representing yourself as a village council member, and you shouldn't be using the village council email. And I don't know you are, but the bottom line is you've got to draw the line somewhere.
As a council member, I'm not allowed to talk to other citizens?
No, I don't think I don't have a problem who you talk to. I'm just simply saying you should not be going out and saying, I'm the village council, I'm a member of the village council, and would you donate gift cards? Would you donate money? You can do whatever you want to as a private citizen. But if you're going to be doing anything, any mention at all from the village, I think it should be sanctioned. I'm not saying you got to turn the money over. I'm just simply saying we need to say it's an official committee.
Or subcommittee.
Or subcommittee.
I acknowledge receipt of your opinion.
Well, it's not just an opinion. I can tell you there are residents in the village who also think that shouldn't be done. So it's not just my opinion.
Okay. And if that's what you're seeking legal opinion on, by all means, right there. That's clearer. I would communicate to our body here and to our residents that this is way outside the human scale of how people actually interact. We're trying to build stuff here. There's only 30 people ever in the room. There might be 50 out there in the community who are willing to put an effort forth, and parsing on these strict by the rules, is it meaningful? My judgment is no. So if you want to investigate and find out what a proper answer is, I'm okay with that. I think they have plenty else to do.
I know I have plenty of to do. Believe me, I know.
I mean, it's like a garden club. A lot of, Harrison has a garden club, North Bend has a garden club. There's nothing wrong with a little beautification committee, and I would think that you would have a lot to do with it in there.
When I question the legality, the 501c, all of that, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the committee. I fully support the beautification and all your efforts. What I want to make sure is that we are doing things legally the way we should, by the book, because as the elected officials, we are obligated to do things by the book. That was the only thing that I wanted clarification on. It's nothing personal, it's not an attack against anybody or any committee. I just want to make sure we're legally doing it right.
Well, the school is trying to build a new athletic facility. He's gonna be going around and asking people for $1 million, for a $15 million building. I'm asking restaurants for a $25 gift card, complete beautification committee, and there's nothing illegal about it.
And so the ones,
You're saying it's not sanctioned.
I'm saying, if you're gonna go out as a village council person, I wanna make sure there's nothing wrong with that. You should, if you're doing it as a private citizen, you can do whatever you want to anytime you want to do it. It doesn't matter.
I'm not asking for people for $1 million. I'm asking people for
Are
$25
you
gift cards.
representing yourself as a village council member when you do it?
I think I'd say I'm chair of the Cleves Village Beautification Committee, and really I'm concerned with the finances, and if it does come into the village, it'll be cut, because it is not a necessity, it's an aesthetic thing, that's not exactly a necessity.
I don't know how the village could cut something that we're not putting any money into. I'm totally confused on how that could even happen.
The
I think
argument
that's
is
been
that
brought up
we're-
because of during prior conversations about the levy, about when there were questions about if the levy doesn't pass, what kind of things are we going to cut. And there were discussions about parks. I mean, if we don't have the money to plow the streets, how are we going to justify putting money into the park?
Why do we need quality pumps? Why do we need bands to be replaced if we have
That's
the money?
where there should be. That's where that's coming from.
That's where that's from. Well, it
It's
sounds to
helpful
me
to
that
understand that that's where the concerns come from. But usually when you talk about cutting something, you're cutting something that the village is funding. We're not funding this.
Correct.
So I think that the ask is that we have a legal determination on what you represent. And if the outcome of that opinion is that you change which email you use for beautification, or that you not mention that you're a village council person, if we get those kind of specific feedbacks from
I'm not saying you will.
from that opinion, then so be it. I just wanted to kind of, that's my reading of this conversation. I know sometimes things, I don't think there's much more meaningful that's going to come out of
Okay? Well, let me go on to one more thing, and that's public safety. I believe that we used to have a public safety committee meeting when we had our own police department. I don't think it makes any difference. I think you need to have a committee, and I do believe there's, and Mike and I talked a little bit about this, there's probably some conversations that need to happen in those meetings, that can happen in those meetings, that maybe wouldn't be appropriate here. And I think there's things, for example, we spend a lot of time on the fire report and stuff. I think some of that could be, to cut down the length of this meeting, could be discussed in a public safety meeting. And you could have a sheriff's department representative there, you could have a fire department representative there, we could be talking about potential cost factors as far as the contract, and there's contracts being negotiated. And I think rather than that be something we discuss necessarily always here, it can be discussed in a committee. And then a recommendation of what to do from the council, just like Jerry was speaking about earlier. And if the committee doesn't think we should talk about it, we don't talk about it.
So what you're suggesting is that the police and the fire would go to the safety committee and do their reports, and then the chair of that committee then might relay certain information at the council meeting? Is that what you're saying?
Well, let's say, for example, if you take a look, and we haven't talked a whole lot about the new sheriff's contract, because we don't know what it is right now. Okay, but that's going to be discussed at some point. It is. And I think when the cost factors are there, we should be talking about that in the relationship, and sharing that information with finance, and have some discussion about those things before we come into a village council meeting. I think you can solve some problems before they begin. And I'm just suggesting that maybe we look at that. You don't want to do that? I'm okay with that. You think that's a committee that doesn't need to happen? I'm okay with that.
I'm not opposed to a public safety committee, but I don't think I would delete the sheriff's department report and the fire department report from the council.
Okay.
I think that needs to remain a part, because residents may watch or come to the council meeting, but they may not necessarily come to individual committee meetings.
I'm okay with that.
Chuck, I have a question, because I've been asked about it. What is going on with the water bills?
What are you talking about specifically?
I'm talking about people complaining about their water bills, that they're too high.
This is not the meeting for that. It's a separate utility. However, I will tell you that we individually addressed concerns. There were some issues with the software, which have been resolved. There have been other issues where there were leaks. There have been other issues where there were wrong readings 8 months ago that we've adjusted. So each person has been dealt with and negotiated with. We also have a board of appeals for someone that disagrees with the decision. So we've addressed every problem that's come our way, and we've heard that out. But again, it's a separate, it's a utility. We're also the water department for North Bend and for parts of Whitewater and Miami Township. And we have to operate separately as a separate board. That's why those aren't addressed in this meeting, because this is the village of Cleves meeting. It's not the utility meeting. So we've had negotiations, we have discussions, there's been a lot of compliance, there's been some corrections, and hopefully with our new meters and systems, there are going to be a lot fewer problems. We can literally monitor water intake and consumption for 90 days within ounces. So that will also help.
Who's on the?
Some old meters that were not reading properly, so that was part of the problem. So these are accurate meters that are reading accurately, and we're resolving those problems going this morning.
So that's just current. That's just now starting to happen with the correct meters and all of that. It's not something.
It's ongoing. It's been ongoing.
It's been ongoing.
Several months now.
Okay.
Who's on the Board of Appeals?
The Board of Appeals would be myself, Eric Winghusen, and our law director. That was in place of before I came on with the Board of Public Affairs. The 3 members of the Board of Public Affairs would be the group that would handle any questions and concerns with the.
Are there any other questions out there? Then what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to forego my mayor's comments. Technically, you're supposed to give the community a village report and the condition of the village. And I'm going to be taking quite a bit of time if I do that. I'm going to postpone that till next meeting, simply because we've been here now going on almost 2 hours, and we still have an executive session that we need to go to. I'd like to read the information on the executive session. because we are going to be by Ohio Revised Code, ORC 121.22G1, to consider the employment of an individual as our new fiscal officer. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a
I'll
second?
second.
I'm sorry?
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion?
Do you have a name?
We're not going to be announcing that, it's going to be discussed in executive session. That's what an executive session is for. Any more discussion?
We're going to take a roll call. Ms. Boyd?
Yes.
Mr. Whaley?
Okay, guys, we have to leave.
Yes.
We'll go out there.
Ms. Bolton?
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Burns?
I want to announce to the public that we will come back out into a regular session, but we're going to be taking no action this evening. When I say no action, I want to be clear on that. This is not something Mr. Rahal has the authority to hire. We don't need to go into an executive session. But philosophically, I believe, even though he has the authority, the council needs to be appraised of who that person is and ask whatever questions they want to ask of Mr. Rahal. At that point in time, when we come out, we're not going to vote unless they simply say, we're not interested. There isn't a need to vote because under Ohio Revised Code and the conditions that he was hired, he has the authority to hire this person without approval from the council. I guess the council. We'll be going into executive session, there'll be no further action, when we come back out, I'm sorry, coming into regular session, and then we will, thank you.
I don't know if they need somebody to read these here.
I'm Dale Oppenheimer. How you doing? I'm Jim Porter.
I'm going to do it too.
They never have.
All right.
Oh, wait a minute. I have to say something. I did not put that in when I ran. I was going to turn the water on and it just. Bye, guys. I think Aaron's gonna love me for some grab. Okay. They don't charge all. See you later.
Well, there'll be one before then. The result of that would be.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, this was the end. You're going to be getting more numbers.
I'm sure that sometimes they'll put some things to that, but if they get the man on, they'll go down.